Oh, hey, Alice. Fancy seeing you here. As usual, we got Cordie with us, Shrieking Violet, and we have Moonlight Drowns. We got Steven, Kris, and Steven. How you guys doing?
Tremendous. Pretty
Fantastic.
tremendous. Pretty tremendous.
Thank you all for being here. Cheers.
Thanks.
Cheers.
Oh,
Cheers.
okay. Here we go.
To business.
Vas Vidania.
To music.
Vaspadanya.
Yeah.
So what is
So,
that?
Russian for cheers, I think.
Hell yeah.
Unless
You
I'm
know
wrong.
You gotta be right.
Don't take
Yeah.
me.
You cannot be wrong.
I might be wrong about
Have you ever watched an 80s movie?
Like,
Yeah, I feel like I only know from like an episode of Tiny Toon Adventures or something where, like one of the kids murked somebody and said, Das Vidanya, comrade.
Did
You know-
somebody say Merc?
now,
Is that
you guys now have me questioning myself. Maybe I'm not right.
just
about
in
that.
general, just about everything?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Your
Like what
command of
is
the
going
Russian
on?
language.
What the fuck
Right.
is going on? Yeah,
what
that's where I'm
the
at now.
fuck is going on?
I
Is that
actually,
a song?
I actually
Is that-
do know
Is
what's.
The album?
No.
What song is that?
It's what's his name?
Michael
He's a
Jackson.
comedian.
Oh.
Right.
Well, you know what is a
Michael
track
Jackson,
off the
the
album?
comedian?
All right.
You make me dumb now.
I almost
No.
said Bill Burr. It's that one guy.
Bo Burnham?
Bo Burnham. That's it.
I love Bo
Yes.
Burnham.
Bill Burnham.
Yeah, Bill.
There's only like so many famous comedy
Burnham.
musicians.
So
Right.
take
And you're
off
not
your
over here
bras and
drop
burn
quoting
'em.
Ninja Sex
Yeah.
Party.
That's right.
That you're not that sort of guy.
Correct.
So I actually do know what's going on with the
Okay.
universe. I remembered Doubt's coming
That was
out July
Mark
1st.
Yeah.
Yes,
That's what's
nice.
going on.
Yes.
Which is grounding and helps me come back to reality.
Okay,
So
nice.
if I can establish one fact, then like reality is real.
That's a
And
fact.
if one fact I
Yeah,
know
that's
is that
true.
we all have a bunch of fucking doubts.
That's true.
That's
right.
true.
Yeah.
So
And-
that video or that song comes out July 1st along with the video for it,
Correct.
which is hyped as fuck.
Yes.
Yeah.
I've heard the song, Alice. It's really fun. Check it out for sure. And then on top of that, the album that track is on, One Last Concession, comes out July 8th.
Correct.
Yes.
Correct.
And you
Just a week
guys,
later.
are playing an album release show.
Yes.
Where is that? I didn't write that down.
Betty's Bar and Grill.
Betty's
Yeah.
Bar and Grill,
Yeah.
Casual Sex, and Shrieking Violet.
Yeah.
That's gonna be
Like
dope
that
as fuck.
motherfucker right there.
Yeah.
Oh my
yeah.
god.
Oh my god, is that Shrieking Violet?
Holy shit.
Holy shit.
I don't know.
Oh, you didn't
Oh
know?
my God.
I
You
have
didn't
a
know
lot
you
of
played-
doubts.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
God. Get the fuck out of here.
I'm sorry.
No, I love it.
But
Songs are awesome.
but yeah, Alice, I'll be at that show, so I'll know if you're not, like specifically. So I'll be looking for you. Make sure that you're there.
Yeah.
And she will hit you with a hammer.
He's got a fucking hammer.
He
Wait.
probably will. He's taking the charge for
You
that.
hit with the hammer if the person's not there.
Yeah, we'll
Okay.
hunt him down.
You have to. Okay.
It's a lot. It's a lot of.
They
It's like-
wake
it's a lot
up
of
or
work.
over
That's
them
fine.
in their
Post-show
bed.
follow-up. But
Like,
that's really how you get. That's really how you get butts and seats, right? Is you
Yeah.
threaten violence, and then you follow up with that
Follow
violence
up.
You have
for a
to.
couple
You
of
have to
shows,
follow up.
and then your fan base is really established, and people know he will show up at my house with a hammer if I don't go to this show. So I've got to go to this next one,
Mhm.
Exactly.
exactly.
or
That's it.
send like a proper letterhead note explaining why I can't make it. Sorry, my grandmother
It better be a
died.
good reason.
Right.
Right.
With
Excuse
like
my
a
absence.
candle
Sorry.
wax
Right.
seal
Sorry.
and
Yes.
all.
He's
Exactly.
a bit Canadian. Huh?
A little bit.
He's a little bit.
We'll forgive you for that.
Sorry
Oh
about it.
wow.
Right. Which
So
kind of
maybe-
plays
yeah.
right into the,
Let's speak for all
the
of us.
song. It's about doubts.
Yes. Correct.
Sort of. It's about an existential crisis, really.
Yes.
That one can have.
So the whole
That is the
right.
lyric, right? We can't be the only ones with an existential
Existential
crisis.
crisis.
Sorry.
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 Right.
Yeah. Sorry.
He just interrupts. Sorry.
Yeah.
Stops it right
Every
sorry.
song.
Right.
We do this every time, guys. It's on the record this way.
Yes.
So-
Every time.
Yeah, right.
That's a good way to transition the questions he likes. Where is existentialism and nihilism like synonymous for you? Or do you think there's a line between them?
That's a really good
Or do you
question.
think existentialism leads to nihilism? 'Cause I don't believe
Definitely
they're the
can.
same, but
No, they're not the same. You know, existentialism is just like questioning your existence and discovering what life is really about, which is not fucking knowing what the hell's going on, right? Whereas nihilism is just thinking that there's no
I
purpose at
think,
all.
yeah, nihilism
And
is the
there's-
conclusion
yeah,
that
you know.
that nothing has value or makes sense.
Right, yeah.
Um,
Which so there can be having an existential crisis because you discovered that you are nihilistic,
Sure.
and believe that like nothing
Existentialism
matters.
leads to nihilism,
right?
but
Yes,
they're not.
it
Yeah.
can,
Yeah,
right?
there's
They're
a
not
Venn
mutually exclusive,
diagram
but there's
there.
definitely
Yeah,
a
sure.
Venn diagram, right?
So
for
when
sure.
it comes to our music, so this record we're putting out is a full record. There's 13 songs and there's some like interludes and intros. And we started playing music together. We've been friends before, but we started playing in the very midst of COVID. So, and in like May of 2020 is when we really started writing most of the songs together. And so that it's all kind of framed around that idea. I was going through a divorce at the time, and there was just, as you all know, the world was kind of falling apart. And so it's sort of a concept about dealing with that crisis, and takes you on a path throughout whether you accept it or whether you choose to be bitter about it.
Fuck. So I too had to set my whole life on fire in 2020 because I was like, you know what? This life has sucked for a few years, and I think the only way to fix it is to burn it all down.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about what you all were going through in your personal lives and creative lives in 2020 and the evolution that you underwent.
Well, me personally, long story, but my daughter's mom and I were roommates for a really long time after we split up to make things work. And we had just, at that time in 2020, we were moving on from that situation. And I was moving out by myself with my daughter for the first time in a long time, and being alone there with her. And that was a challenging situation, along with everything else that was going on in 2020, and just everything leading up to that. There was a lot of change going on in my life.
How old's your daughter?
She's 12, and
Aw.
she's about to be 13 in August. So awesome, right? Good times.
Good luck, buddy.
In good ways, yeah. No. And then Steven obviously was going through a divorce around the same time, and we had just kind of not too long before that gotten to be pretty good friends, and we're hanging out, and we had done some music stuff together. We worked together, and at the company we worked for, we played in a band together at the Christmas party. So we were doing some music stuff together.
And then we decided to like write
yeah.
together to see how that went, and it went really well. It was really easy.
Yeah.
We
Clicked
wrote just a
pretty
couple
much right
songs,
away.
just wrote a couple songs together. Yeah, for me, 2020 was God, I hate to be so depressing here, but it was really difficult because so my wife and I we'd been together for 11 years, and we split up in February of 2020. At the same time, so that happened, and a week later, someone I was really close with passed away.
Sorry.
Oh, thank you. And then the tornado happened, and I was down in the tornado.
What a shitty year.
Yeah, shitty. And then
I was
you
in
know,
Mount
like
Juliet, so pretty close to
Yeah.
where the tornado.
and then like a
out
week
there at
later,
that time.
COVID shut everything down, and so my job changed. So everything was changing in my life at that point. And so while I didn't necessarily write every song on the record, you know, some of these are co-writes. There's a few songs I didn't write at all, but from my personal perspective, it all kind of frames that whole relationship ending path of how that went down.
And subsequently going through it and then moving on.
And he wrote a couple songs on there, and one of the songs we had written together when we were doing a band briefly called the Steves.
With a drummer named
With a
Steve.
drummer named Steve.
Yeah,
Oh,
perfect. Yeah.
Oh, a couple drummers named Steve, honestly, in
That's
short
gotta
succession.
be a difficult audition process.
It was very
well,
difficult.
it's
Like,
funny,
you're
right?
good
If your
and
name isn't
reliable.
Steve,
What's
right,
your
yeah.
name?
Yeah.
Literally,
Right,
we just
yeah.
like put it on Facebook, be like, "Are you a drummer named Steve or Stefan or Stephanie
Well, you know, some of the
or
Steve related,
Esteban?
right.
Like, you can be in our
You
band."
could be Steve S.
But
Yeah, not quite.
Right.
It's hard to keep a good Steve.
Steve
hard to keep a good
adjacent.
Steve. It's hard to keep
You
a
know.
mediocre Steve.
It was really hard for me to join the band.
I had to stop
Right,
keeping a
as
mediocre
Chris.
Steve.
What's it like being in a band of Steves?
Right, it's interesting. I'll tell you that. It's fun to poke fun at him.
But he's also
That's
a
for sure.
Chris, so it's just like
Yeah,
take
that's
your
true.
pick
We're a
of like
bunch
the
of
most
basic white
popular
guys,
white
yeah.
guy
I guess
name. It's like,
that's the better question. What's it like for you guys to work with a Chris?
oh, it's the worst.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. Oh, it's especially with a K.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
Oh,
makes
God.
it even worse.
Tangentially related, there is now a band in Nashville called the Stevens with a PH. They're
Oh.
totally unrelated to us.
Mhm.
Nobody in that band is named Steve, and they do covers.
But there's also
Nice.
the band,
Nice.
and the main guy lives in Nashville. His name, name of his band is Steve. They used to be Republican Hair. I don't know if you know them or not.
Mm.
They're pretty popular.
What do they believe?
Yeah.
They've also
Okay.
they were in a band together.
Yeah.
For us, a couple.
That's how we knew
or
each
were
other.
you just Blue Matches with you.
Blue
two?
Matches.
Just Blue Matches.
Yeah. I didn't know
Wait a
if you
minute.
were ever in
Well,
Eye for None.
You were in Blue Matches, weren't you?
Yeah,
Yeah, I was
they
a bassist
both
for Blue
were.
Matches.
I knew
Yeah.
I recognized you. I was gonna say Blue Magic, but I didn't want to sound stupid.
And Steve has occasionally been.
I've seen
in,
Blue
Red Guard
Matches.
Fighters.
Have
you really?
I've seen Blue Matches
I
at
know you got written songs
years
too. I didn't know
ago.
you like necessarily.
where was that?
Regdar and the Fighters is his solo act.
Oh,
by
okay.
the way.
Right
Which is on the same label as Flumix.
Oh hell yeah, we've had
Okay.
Flumix on the
So,
show
yeah.
before. Good
I
friends.
was gonna say
Red
Regdar
and
is
the
a.
Oh, I'm
Fighters?
I just realized
That's
I'm wearing a
what I
Flumix
noticed for
shirt.
You said Red Dart and the Fighters?
Red
Dar and the Fighters.
Red
Like the
Dar.
sample character from Dungeons and
Oh,
Dragons.
yeah.
Okay.
Because you should know that.
Yeah,
obviously.
Are you guys
Right,
streaming?
obviously.
Like, can Alice
Yeah,
find you on
yeah.
stuff?
Yep.
Right on. Spotify everywhere.
All the platforms.
Right
I
on.
mean,
really-
it's through Needle Juice. So
I'm
it's
really-
everywhere
okay,
that
fuck
Needle
yeah.
Juice distributes.
Needle juice.
Needle Juice
Needle
Records.
Juice.
Shout
You
out
say
to
it
Needle
one more
Juice.
time.
Yeah.
Oh fuck.
I
Say it
am-
one more time.
Needle
Needle
Juice.
Juice. Say it one more time. A dealer shows up and.
Hey, you
Gets
guys
my
gotta.
donuts.
We're actually not on vibing with what you guys are saying. Stop saying her name. Like, this is a cease and desist. Stop saying.
I out of my own selfishness, I'm curious where you saw Blue Matches because that was a
Me
band
too.
That was the band I
Um,
started in
That was your
over
first
a decade.
band you
Yeah.
started, right?
Oh,
Over a
okay.
decade
So
ago.
you were in that band.
Yeah.
Yeah, he founded that band.
Okay.
I
Okay.
love that you're like,
I
would
gotta-
love to
I gotta
know
remember
too.
where this was.
Wow,
it wasn't.
crazy.
It wasn't in Nashville.
I keep on joining
Might have been
Steve's
Mercury.
fans and
Lebanon?
being the more memorable. one.
Maybe, I don't know.
Lebanon. Does that sound familiar?
Lebanon.
I don't know.
Cold blooded.
We
That's
played a
rough
bunch of
shot.
places around.
You're gonna do
We
that
did
to
a
us,
few
too.
like short little
You don't
tours.
even
where
like
we
the
played
band.
all kinds of places, too.
Fuck.
Yeah.
No, it definitely wasn't in Nashville. I don't think it was Murfreesboro.
Okay.
I think now's a good time to talk about that.
Anyway.
Our bass player doesn't even like the bands.
Oh,
The current band.
Yeah,
Why
let's
do you
talk
feel
about
that
that.
way?
Why
I'm
do you hate
I
Moonlight
love
Drowns?
therapy and like I study
Honestly,
I,
this-
I'd kind of like to know
psychology,
too. I mean, you
Honestly,
know,
this is just
like,
an
he's pretty
inside joke
involved.
that Chris takes too far.
So, okay, so
I think
you
I'm here
push
for it.
his
More than true,
boundaries
right,
and
yeah.
it makes it hard for him to commit to the
I
vision
think-
that you
I
present.
think-
Well,
But
no,
I'm
really,
just
it's just like
somebody
we got
who
to the
runs-
we got to the end of practice one day, and I was tired and frazzled, and we were drinking, and then we were talking about the band, and Chris was like, "Steve, do you even like this band?" And I like didn't answer immediately, and now Chris is like, "Oh, oh, you hate our
Yeah.
band."
And then, so it's just
what we were and what led up to that, is because he was like, we were talking about some bands, I forget, like, I don't know, some bands that are like us, like My Chemical Romance or something like
and you'd
that.
be like, oh, I
And,
don't
he,
like
and
them.
he was like, I don't really like them. I was like, dude, do you even like our band?
Those are fighting words.
Right?
And then
No.
he hesitated. And that's why I was like, you
I don't think
don't
it
like
was
our
even
band,
My
do
Chemical
you?
Romance. I think it was like Fallout Boy.
Okay, that's more
No.
understandable.
We like Fall Out Boy too. What do you mean?
Yeah, we like
I
Fall Out
mean,
Boy.
I mean, maybe not
we die
we,
for MCR, but we like Fall Out Boy.
There's always a
Yeah,
little
yeah.
part of me that like sees too much of like the parts of myself that are awkward in Fall Out Boy as like a kind of a chubby
Pete
slutty
Wentz?
dude who wears a flat cap. I'm like,
Hey, he Wentz made it work. He's worth all kinds of money, and
I had
Oh,
a
for
I had a
sure.
similarly bad haircut when they got super popular, where it's just like I was trying to grow my hair out and it wasn't working.
I've
So,
seen
so like I
some-
saw Pete Wentz be
Oh,
famous, and I'm like, oh no, it's like a shitty mirror.
Well, he is every cliche, but he
better.
simply does it best.
Look at how many people's songs he's on though. Like Fall Out
yeah,
Boy
sure,
is
isn't it?
like the pinnacle of our generation. They're in most people's top 3 that grew up real sad, between the years of
That's right.
2000 2010. But like at
Hell
the
yeah.
same time, he was on so many people's tracks. He's even more successful than the band, which is crazy.
So would
Plus,
you?
ultimately, I'm more of a Futurama guy than a Simpsons guy.
Hell yeah!
So like Fall Out Boy, like
High five to that.
yeah.
Futurama and South Park for me.
Okay.
Those are the adult cartoons. that I
I've
like.
faded on South Park a little bit, but like
I haven't
Futurama,
catch up. I haven't kept up
no,
with
the
this.
last
That's
few
fair.
seasons haven't been great.
I don't think I've seen it since they did the Orange Man season in like 2016. So yeah.
I don't remember the last time I saw it. It's been a long time.
So would
I
you
used to keep up with it when there was like the semi-official pirate sites that showed it. That streamed it.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Would you say that your music takes influences then from the bands we were talking about? Like,
It's hard to say. Like that's the most difficult question when somebody asks what are you influenced by? Because when I answer that question, my natural answer is the bands that shaped me when I was growing up that made me want to do music.
how about this?
But-
How about this? What band would you most want to sound like?
Oh, I know the answer.
It's fucking hard. It's really fucking hard. I can't even answer that because
Sounds like
I'm
Alex
at the
can.
point where I'm
Okay.
not trying to shoot
It's like,
myself
I've got
in the
an
face.
answer.
It's like,
Maybe not.
this
Sounds
is
like a
what
Nirvana
this is
reference.
what I listen listen to. It's what I wanted to sound like. This is what I sound like. This is what is adjacent to what I sound like. Like I'm probably like some curious mix between like Gerard Way from My Chemical Romance, Fiona Apple, like the Cranberries, like stuff like that. But like, yeah, my as we've discussed on the podcast previously, my high school trilogy was definitely Panic at the Disco, Fall Out Boy, and My Chemical Romance.
Okay.
Like those are the bands that shaped me most, and it was such a difficult journey from where I started out feeling like, man, this is music I want to listen to, and I sound nothing like it, and I'm fucking worthless because I don't know how to, and like hating my music and like hating what I sounded like, to finding a way to embrace my sound and embrace my influences in the same place. And I feel like that's a place that I've gotten to, and it's a difficult journey, but that's a difficult question.
Well, I mean, for sure. But a lot of people don't usually sound like their influences, though. Like, I mean,
Not exactly. Yeah,
I've
There's
known
like
tons of
these-
people who they sound like the Avett Brothers. And they're like, oh, I love the Ramones, or I love the Clan. I'm like, well, okay, that's
Fucking
interesting.
precisely.
I'm
Like
just-
Escape the Fate sports like Iron Maiden t-shirts. And I'm like, you're not that, buddy.
Right, yeah.
Steve is probably one of the few songwriters I know that like kind of actually sounds like the people that he idolizes.
Okay, interesting.
Fuck you, buddy.
Yeah, fuck
Yeah,
me.
sorry,
All right.
Ellie.
Well, that's not necessarily a compliment.
Oh, what a dick.
I'm just
Yeah, he doesn't even like
Yeah,
the
he doesn't
band,
like the band.
right? So that's definitely not a compliment.
Yeah, I don't know.
What's
I
that
just-
emo band that you like? Matt something that we went to see the
Yeah, Matt Price from the Get Up Kids.
Yeah, Get Up
That's
Kids.
why-
Well,
What's
the Get Up
that?
Kids, that's like
What's that shitty
OG
emo
pop
That's my
band?
shit,
Right,
yeah.
whatever.
This
Okay,
dude-
you know the Get Up
this
Kids.
dude
You
loves
see,
the Get Up
yeah,
Kids
I don't.
and does a pretty good job of sounding like them and like
I'm
not
just-
necessarily hitting the notes.
I would
I'm
take
fascinated. You dropped everyone
Music.
except Bikini Kill. I was waiting on that.
I love Bikini Kill. It was an influence that came later in life to me, and that's
Okay.
a fucking tragedy. Like it had to be introduced to me. I became obsessed with Bikini Kill probably like 7 years ago at this point, and that was the basis for my band Hussy Fit, which was a feminist
I like
punk band. Thank you. And it wasn't the best situation. I'm not here to talk shit on my own band. We'll cut this out. But
Oh yeah,
That's my job.
edit.
but like it didn't work out. We all moved across the country, and honestly, it was for the best. Even though I was like, this is the one time I'm presenting myself in the way I want to be presented. But yes, like Kathleen Hanna is my queen. I love Bikini Kill. I love the Riot Girl movement of the '90s. That shaped a lot of who I am going forward and helped me to find myself as a musician in the midst of it all after high school.
Super cool. That's cool. You know, the first time I ever had heard of Kathleen Hanna was from her doing the singing the intro to Letter Bomb on American Idiot. I don't know.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh shit.
I was unfamiliar with that.
The only time the time I heard of Bikini Kill was in the movie 10 Things I Hate About You.
I
Oh,
love
doing
10
that?
Things
I
I
haven't
hate
seen that
about
before.
you.
I haven't
People
thought
talk
about
about
that
Heath
in a while.
Ledger all the time, but that's one of his greatest
Yeah.
films.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, absolutely. He
It's
goes
fine.
to that concert and the girl was in the movie, and they're talking about bands that she likes, and one of them's Bikini Kill gets brought up.
Oh, watch that
Yeah,
again.
so random
fuck.
like
That's been a
throwback.
long time.
Hell yeah, dude.
So those movies I watched in like high school, it's like, yeah, indie rock, whatever,
Yeah.
sounds dumb. And then like years later, I'm like, hold on. I'm pretty sure if I looked that up, I would have to admit that movie had an amazing soundtrack.
Oh
It
yeah.
did.
Fair
Like
enough.
Letters to
Absolutely.
Cleo. Like holy shit, I still listen to them.
You guys know that movie Safety Not Guaranteed?
Oh, I've been meaning to watch that about time
movie
travel.
also has an amazing soundtrack.
It's a movie based on a Craigslist ad.
Yeah.
Sounds so familiar.
Yeah.
I know that.
A
I
Craigslist.
think I
What's
know
It
the-
that.
actually is.
The Craigslist ad is something along the lines of need partner to go back in time
Yeah.
with me. Safety not guaranteed. Must bring your own weapons.
Oh.
Oh wait,
Yeah, and they
I
made a whole
know
movie
this
out of it.
movie.
It's
I
good
haven't
as
seen
fuck.
it, but I've seen that
Oh,
description.
What is it?
Nick,
That's Phantom Planet. That's
Nick
part of the
Oh, yeah?
soundtrack for that.
New
Yeah.
Girl was
We
in
used to
it.
cover California, sort of.
I've
Yeah,
seen
oh,
Phantom
okay,
Planet
bet.
at least twice,
did?
maybe
You
3
did
times. I've
California?
seen
Yeah,
Phantom Planet.
Sort of.
Hell
We-
yeah.
we
That's what's up.
we did a
You
we
know
did
that
a-
apart? Not that one.
No, not that one.
Oh,
No,
is that
California
the
from
same
Phantom
thing?
Planet.
Oh, okay. I thought you were saying
That's the name of the band.
goddamn
Phantom Planet.
Yeah.
Tupac song. or
No, not
something.
the.
we just did a medley of songs called
California. I was like,
California.
okay,
Yeah,
I mean,
this
It's
all
just like
okay.
slammed them all together.
We basically played every Red Hot Chili Peppers song.
Yeah.
we're gonna do a couple of pop songs at our album release show.
I always wonder if like Red Hot Chili Peppers, if like they're on tour, if they switch things around, like but Danny, North Dakota.
Danny
Like
North
you do with
Dakota.
our
yeah.
fucking lyrics.
Yeah.
Danny North
Some form of
Dakota.
outrage.
That's
Da-
it.
I love Danny
Danny
North Dakota. Yeah, Danny. Yeah. Okay.
Your
But
first
PH
album.
Pander to the
notoriously,
local audience, right?
You should.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
PH notoriously sings lyrics that are not accurate.
Sometimes
Yeah,
with
we're
our
pretty
songs.
sure-
yeah.
I mishear our own lyrics all the
We're
time.
pretty
that's
sure
what
that it's
keeps
sung
it-
that way on the record.
No show is the same.
Right,
Go to
exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
There's the song Another Bullet says so full of outrage. It's a line that he sings. And
Maybe.
we're pretty
Perhaps. We'll see.
sometime, actually most of the time he says some form of outrage.
Or just some random shit. Yeah.
Isn't too bad. It's
Yeah.
it's not the same, but it's a little different.
We have a song called Anchor with the lyric "You felt this way you down" that I keep on
Oh,
singing
yeah.
that as "You felt this way in town" because that's what it sounds
This
like.
way in town. Oh.
It's like, what the hell? You felt this way in town with an anchor tied to you, whatever. I've never heard that metaphor before, but okay.
It's a new one.
And so he sings it that way most of the time.
I see you driving in down with the love.
And
Oh, yeah.
fuck you. That's right.
Hard
So now you gotta pay
segue.
ASCAP
Hard
fees or whatever.
segue.
Hard
Okay,
segue.
he's gonna do it. Just take the power.
Okay.
Hard segue.
Oh, why are you hitting me?
He's testing your reflexes,
okay.
bro.
Oh,
They're not good.
Mine.
Not
Try it
good.
again.
Not at all.
And
You
we-
didn't fucking move. There you
I
go.
actually don't have good reflexes.
There you go. Now that's some solid reflex.
But hard segue. What in any particular order? What did your parents listen to? What did you listen to as kids?
Growing when I was a straight up kid, my my dad was always listening to 90s country. And then it got to a point where country started getting really pop, like super pop. And he
Bro
hated
country.
it. Yeah, he hated it, and all he would listen to is like oldies, like
Hell yeah.
50s music. That's like all he
That's
listens to now.
Mostly contemporary Christian, and then if it wasn't that, then it was like oldies like Beatles. and
Which is why
some stuff
now
like
he
that.
only writes contemporary Christian
Right.
music.
Yeah.
Most of my songs get
That's what I
rejected.
assumed based on what I heard.
Actually, right. Half of Doubt is really a Christian
Yeah.
song because I wrote half
Doubt
of
in
it,
your
and
faith.
half of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. See? And that's why it works. It works as a song.
I definitely have more to say about that, but I want to know what PH has to say.
My dad listened to classic rock, and my mom listened to
Classic
traditional
rock.
Scotch and Irish music and
Oh.
Gregorian chants.
I like that.
Cool.
Which
Yeah.
also explains PH.
Yeah.
I guess you were
It's
also raised
confusing.
religiously, or
I was, yes.
okay.
I mean,
You
I
played-
feel like the Gregorian chant didn't have much to do with that, but
Okay.
when me and my siblings started discovering our own music, that was like my elder brother got into Pedro the Lion, and my older sister got into Newsboys, and I eventually ended up being into Five Iron Frenzy.
Hmm.
That kind
I
of
don't
thing.
know any of those bands.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Pedro
I
the
don't-
Lion
Pedro the
is
Lion, I
a,
like
is a
Pedro the
sad
Lion.
boy with an acoustic guitar who eventually became an atheist sad boy with an acoustic
Okay.
guitar.
It's basically me. That's why we get along.
News,
so well.
right.
Newsboys is just like straight up Australian pop rock. They were just like the cleanest cut rock music about, God or whatever they wanted to sing about. And then Five Iron Frenzy was third wave ska,
Oh, bet.
or is third wave ska. They're back again. So
Nice.
Third wave.
the
Not
best.
to be confused with
The
like
best wave.
first
The best wave.
Right.
No.
I mean, I feel like if fourth wave
Yeah.
ska really
Best
emerged,
wave.
I would start to consider fourth
The
wave
best
ska the
wave.
best.
The third
Hypothetically,
wave ska is
that
the
might
best
be
wave.
better.
But like Ska Tune
Yeah.
Network isn't doing a fourth wave ska. He's just doing third wave
Yeah.
ska again.
Nice.
Third wave ska
Nickelodeon.
revival.
I really like Japanese ska. Have you looked at this at all?
Yeah, I've heard like
Interesting.
Orascato Band. Is that their name?
I'm not familiar.
I was gonna say,
Maybe if
if
I
you-
heard them.
If you're thinking of something completely ridiculous and off the wall, and that nobody would ever know about,
I mean, it's a bunch of
These
Japanese.
guys,
It's a bunch of
yeah,
Japanese
yeah,
women
for
doing third wave ska.
That sounds awesome.
That's the third wave ska.
Some
Yeah.
of our a couple of our songs have a bit of a ska feel. I
Nice.
would
Yeah.
say definitely wherever it goes.
Yeah.
Has a
Anything on
ska
the new
feel to
record?
it.
yeah,
Yeah,
nice.
that one. And then
There's
another
a couple
bullet,
ska
would you
bass lines,
say
but we
that-
don't have a brass section.
Would you say that the chorus of Another Bullet is ska-esque?
The rhythmically, yes.
Yeah. So a little bit. It's a little ska influence.
Because he likes, and he's like ska, and
He
he,
likes
he
ska, and
plays,
we
he
humor
plays,
him.
Same.
he plays
He's
ska bass
technically
really
part
well.
of the band.
Yeah.
Even though he doesn't
If you
like
tell
it.
me I could just do like kind of bass lines, like hell yeah, let me do
Oh,
that.
there. That's our A-bar man for sure. Yeah.
Steve, more upstrokes.
So, Chris, were you also
Yeah.
raised religiously, I assume?
Yes. Very much
That would
so.
be super weird if your parents were really into Christian music.
Yeah,
like they were like super.
Right.
I I assumed, but I didn't want to just say
not
that.
into the culture.
God is
right.
fake, but
But
boy, do his
this
followers
slaps,
turn out
dude.
some bangers.
Fucking slap.
Oh, it's like
Have you heard
pop
this-
music,
have you heard
but
this-
like shittier.
This third day band, they're
Have
so
you ever
good.
heard it? It's so good.
Fuck Alex.
Every song sounds like it's almost U2, but not quite as good.
Oh,
Right.
dude.
And like a product, but a shitty one. We're like the Kroger brand of music. Right.
Dude,
Yeah.
when I was in high
Yeah, for
school,
sure.
because where I grew up was a small town, and I didn't like listen to country music. So the only other station like they would have like a Christian rock station. I'd listen to the shit out of the Christian rock station because it was the best thing I could get. I was like,
Honestly, when
they
you
play Switchfoot.
oh yeah,
Yeah,
when we were in high
Remind
school,
me,
like
Yeah, Switchfoot
yeah.
was some good shit growing up.
we
I
were
like
Christian
Ryan
rock
Band.
right before Christian rock got really
Yeah,
bad.
okay.
Hell yeah.
Right, like Christian rock in the 90s like had this
That's
whole
true.
thing where like Christians were allowed to be like, hey guys, I'm gonna like, yeah, I'm a Christian, but I'm also gonna explore difficult topics and sing about things that are really meaningful to me.
POD.
Like Skillet.
Like
That's right.
like Skillet. And then like the Caleb came along, like everything needs to be written for soccer moms, though. Everything needs to be written for soccer moms. And now you get crappy Christian music like Skillet.
Oh, I like
See, I
Skillet.
grew up in the
Yeah.
generation of Church of Christ where they were like, "Thou shalt not add or take away from the Bible." So
Right.
like
No
music
music.
just doesn't.
I thought you were about to
belong
say
here.
thou shalt not shit on Skillet.
No,
That was a huge skill.
They would
Ecclesiastes
shit on
5:6,
Skillet
thou
because
shalt not
he pride himself to giveth to the Bible what the Bible didn't ask for, but they don't kill the women ask for it.
All right,
And-
favorite
And
Christian
forsooth,
band.
Skillet did only put out 2 good
What's your
albums.
favorite Christian band?
You got better questions than I do.
I don't know. I didn't grow up listening to Christian music. I wasn't allowed. It's
But you have a-
Christian. They were pretty good.
What's your
Technically,
favorite
I
say
Christian
I
band?
feel like
Flyleaf.
you guys.
Flyleaf? Yes, Flyleaf or Christian.
Oh,
Flyleaf.
you
Okay,
know
they're
what?
pretty
Flyleaf
good.
is my
You know
I like
what?
them.
That changes my answer.
Regans.
Regrettably, I was gonna say 3 Days Grace
Regrettably.
probably.
Are they
Okay.
Christian? I
didn't
know
that.
it sounds
Uh,
3
no,
days
they're not.
grace.
Yeah,
sounds
it sounds-
very
I just
Christian to
assume
me, yeah.
They're
Yeah.
not.
I didn't think they were, but I like them because that Larry Duff movie.
About Jesus. We're
Who
pretty.
sang? If you're going to that genre, who
Pretty
sang?
much
It's
Three
no.
Days Grace.
Really
Well,
found
who
a
would sang?
reason for you. Yep, that's about Jesus. The reason is Jesus.
The reason
is
is Jesus.
That's
What are you
what
doing
I
to
saw.
me?
That's
What are you doing to me right now?
I'm ruining your childhood.
I support other people's religion, but like music is the main reason. That like if
For Jesus.
somebody's
That you
super
love
Christian
Jesus.
and
Right.
try to date me, I turn them down because I'm like I'm gonna have to put up with you sending me.
I
20
kind of need you to
songs
like me more
in
than
one day
Jesus.
that I don't care
Yeah.
about,
Right, yeah.
and they're all gonna be about God, and I'm just like, yeah, this is great. And at a certain point, I'm like, I don't like this.
Have you
Please
heard this
stop.
latest song by a guy named Kris? It's about Jesus, but it's really about him. Kris.
This guy?
No, they're all
Or
CH
exclusively
Chris's.
Chris.
yeah, yeah.
They're all CH Chris's.
Oh, Chris. Okay.
Chris Tomlin,
Chris
Taylor,
Christ.
whatever.
Right, yeah. I do go by
Chris.
I
that.
shouldn't talk shit
Jesus.
about Chris Taylor. I know.
What do you guys think happens if we die?
I'm optimistic. I think that there's more to things going on. I'd like to think that. I also accept that just nothing happens as a possibility.
Well, I should have prefaced that better. None of us know.
Yeah, none of us.
I think
know.
all of us have ideas.
Well, you said what do you
You
think?
said
What do
same
think?
What do you
Yeah,
think?
okay,
Okay.
that's
Fair
You
what we
can ask,
can.
what do we know
I-
happens after that?
What do you
Well,
think?
you know, me
I
personally,
need to know.
Questions are the same, okay?
I personally,
Fair
like,
enough.
I'm agnostic by definition, and that I believe that we know nothing, and that I know nothing.
Yeah.
So anything that I think is like just what I personally believe and like sort of hope is the case. I think the most likely possibility is that probably nothing and we just die. And that's
Why
probably
is
it,
that?
but, it just seems to be like that's what it's leading towards, or that's
That's your
what it's all
vibe of
set
it.
up for. I also like just in everything in life, I try to like accept the worst case scenario, but hope for the best. And that's sort of where I'm at there. And that I think that's the worst
That's
case.
not- I was
That's the
about to
worst
say
case
that.
scenario to me.
Really?
So
That's
yeah,
another
I don't
topic.
believe that like, in my opinion,
Ooh, this
I don't
has
believe
to
that God would like send us to hell and punish us for things that happen here. That's
That
just
seems
what I
unfair.
personally believe because I think that's unfair.
Yeah.
None of us has to be here. None of us know what the fuck is going on, and I don't think it's fair to
And
punish
anyone who
us.
makes bad decisions, they were treated poorly.
There's a lot of reasons
Yeah.
probably why. And that I don't think that a creator that's smart and that would make this universe that's pretty impressive is like would do that to us.
That seems silly.
So I think either nothing happens, which is worst case scenario to me, or that there's some sort of cool afterlife that we like die and then we're like, oh, okay, yeah, I get it now.
So sort of cool. So it's like
sort of cool.
they have
Maybe
like
it's cool,
an
maybe
ice
it's
cream
not.
bar that's open like 4 days a week or something.
Right, yeah.
It's like
Or
sort
like,
of cool.
you know, 5 hours a day, or only for lunch.
I definitely see
Right,
what you're
yeah.
saying,
So
Chris.
it's only
You
open
can-
for lunch, and also because you're like not alive anymore, you
Yeah.
get the whole like you don't experience time in a really coherent fashion anymore, so you never make it in time.
right.
You're always like, I'd like to go to the ice cream bar for lunch day, and then like the next thing you know, 8 hours have passed, and it's like,
Shit.
yeah, they're closed for another.
Or
That just sounds like life.
our brains get flooded with DMT and we just are on this DMT trip for all eternity because of the weird like time experience. That could be it too. And that's a good like actual physical way that it could be or it could happen.
I definitely have a lot to say about that, but go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, I am really curious. So, Stephen with a PH is a religious person.
It's true. I'm still Christian.
But the thing is, though, he's not.
And we
He's not. He's like non-denominational, though. So I don't know your.
he's like
Plus or
Quaker.
minus.
So
I
they
would.
like
I would probably
they
be
pray
Orthodox.
Non-denominational means a lot of
they
things.
pray to the oatmeal gods, I think. Isn't that
My
something?
You
actual-
can pray to the
Something about
Quaker
oatmeal.
oats
My
guy.
actual
What?
beliefs
That
are
guy.
most in
That's
line
it.
with Orthodox Quakerism, but
Okay.
I told you I wasn't totally full of
I
shit.
currently attend Episcopalian.
So
Okay.
Because there aren't Orthodox Quakers in Nashville, at least not, there's not an Orthodox Quaker congregation, and my partner is Episcopalian.
What is that detail? What is-
Episcopalian? Anglican Church.
Sorry?
Church of England.
Okay.
I don't know what that means. So
So Church of England was Henry VIII wanted to divorce his wife, and the Pope said, "What? No, you can't do that." And said, "Fine, I'm going to start my own church with blackjack and hookers," and that became the Church of England.
Now I'm all for this.
I don't think there's a lot
We
Which
of
can go ahead and
eventually
sign me up
became
with this one.
The
but I'm
Anglican
Quaker.
Church throughout most of the world, and
For
the
the record.
Episcopalian Church in the English speaking in the Anglosphere, ironically, with the big difference.
Anglosphere.
With the big difference between the two of them being that the Episcopalian Church is like, yeah, gay people are fine and women can be priests, whereas the Anglican Church is still generally like, no,
Ancient progressive Christianity. That's
kind
nice.
of.
Yeah.
That's what it sounds like.
yeah,
Mhm.
or you
So-
can, it's kind of like Reformed.
Okay.
So I've been playing music with this guy for over a decade, and I don't think we've ever had this specific conversation where I've asked you what you specifically think happens after you die.
So, I'm less sure of it than I was when we first met, but my general
10
sense,
years ago.
right. So, there's a bit of philosophical calculus that I really like. So are you guys familiar with Pascal's wager?
Yes.
Okay, are you guys familiar with? Should I fill in the audience? Just
Oh,
in
I
case?
totally know.
Alice
Tell
knows.
Alex.
So go ahead.
Explain for the
Oh,
people that don't know.
Of
Tell
course,
Alex.
I know.
So
Of course,
yeah,
we all
I
know.
know.
Right, but you're gonna want to explain to the idiots.
The
Right.
layman's, yeah.
Just in case some doesn't apply.
Plebeians.
So Blaise Pascal, a theologian, he came up with this idea when like discussing the idea of living a Christian life versus living an atheist life. He came up with this idea that eventually got called Pascal's wager, where he said, if you're betting between those two scenarios, living a Christian life can still lead to you living a good, fulfilling life. And if you're right about the theology at the end of things, you are rewarded with eternal paradise. And if you're wrong about the theology, you're punished with nothing. Whereas if you choose to be an atheist, you could live a fine life. You can live a life that you find fulfilling. But if you're wrong, you are punished with eternal damnation. And if you are right, you're rewarded with nothing. So it's better to bet on Christianity, which always annoyed me from the moment I heard about it in college, because I was like, well, that's a false binary.
Yeah.
So I graphed everything that I could, like all the major broad categories of religion against each other, like what they expect to happen if they're right, and what the worst case scenario is if they're right and you're wrong, and what the worst case scenario is if like they're slightly right but not quite right, like Islam versus Christianity. And ultimately the people who come out the most ahead of what they expect are the like Lovecraftian cosmic horror adherents, the people who think that not only is there a God, or Maltheists is probably a better word for it, not only is there a God, but God hates us. God wants bad things to happen to us, because everyone else being right is a better outcome for them.
That's also Christianity if you take it literally, because Yahweh's not
Right?
a nice guy.
Right?
Yeah,
Like
Like,
he treated the Jews like shit.
that's
The Israelites
the
were treated
reason
very
I walked
poorly.
away from the church, is I was like, this doesn't sound very merciful.
I gotta say that
But-
is a very like PH reason to believe in
Yeah,
that.
I
Just
like
because
that.
gotta say,
Is it
like,
when
all
they
this
hate the
stuff,
band?
It's like
Wrap
fucking
the-
Charlie from Always Sunny.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like these papers and strings attaching each other. It's like, now listen, like the most probable outcome of all of the outcomes,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it's this religion, blah blah blah.
So-
I'm like, oh, okay, that's why he's a fucking Quaker.
So I sort of
You didn't answer the question. So what do you think happens when you die?
I hope that honestly, I hope that the universalists are right, and that the salvation described by Christian theologians is in fact universal, and that it doesn't matter what we did in life and what we chose to believe or not. God's grace saves us all.
Okay.
Okay, cool.
That's what I hope
like
happens.
that.
I'm not
Yeah.
entirely convinced that that's a truly biblical stance. So.
Okay.
The reason I brought it up and the reason, and
Hang on.
Alice knows this, so I'm gonna keep it brief, but just so you guys know,
Okay.
the reason it's such a topic of interest for me is I was raised as a Jehovah's Witness. And
Oh wow.
I was also
Very
homeschooled.
interesting.
So,
Oh.
Okay.
so when I moved out at 18, I didn't know anybody or anything.
Never experienced any
And
other.
I think I can say that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Wow.
it's really interesting to me when people are raised religiously and how, if they still are, and if they're not, why. And
Yeah.
so also like denomination with Christianity is very fascinating to me.
Yeah.
That's very I like that in terms of what you're describing in terms of Christianity.
JWs I always found it to be a fascinating topic.
It's
because
fascinating.
It's so hard to get information out of Jehovah's Witnesses in general. Like
I can tell you whatever you want to know.
yeah,
Was that
like,
like
so
that?
so it took me years of this. Like every time Jehovah's Witnesses would come to my door, I would like invite them in, be like, yes, do you want a glass of water?
Oh,
Let's
God.
talk about our faiths relative to each other. Like I have always been told that JW is a cult, but I don't know why. I've read copies of the Watchtower, and it seems to be conservative Christianity. What's the difference? And they'll talk like, well, we don't celebrate birthdays. Like, fine, whatever. That's a Pharisaical belief, but that's like not culty until like finally somebody actually like
Talk to one of them.
and, like
Yeah.
like so they'd always come in and they'd talk for 3 minutes and say, well, like, we got a quota we got to fill, so we really can't stick around. I'm like, what are you even
Quota.
doing here?
Dude, I've been talking to Mormons recently. They've been hitting up my inbox.
Do
on
they do the same
Facebook.
thing?
Yes.
Ah.
So they asked me if I wanted to talk. I said, fuck yeah. So I went down and face to face had a conversation with them because I was like, I have a lot of respect for what you guys are doing. What you believe, I don't agree with, but if I believed what you believe, I'd be doing the same thing.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Finally,
I mean, that
I,
goes
I told
for a
one
while.
JW who came to my door, she was like, hey, do you have a moment to talk about God? I was like, honestly, like, no, you guys keep on like jerking me around, taking my number and never coming back
Yeah.
to talk. So I'm not gonna bother
Not really.
today. And she's like, oh, well, give me your number. I'll come back
I wish
next week with my
somebody
dad.
would jerk me around.
I was like,
did she?
The next week she came back, she's like, I brought my dad who's much more knowledgeable. Here's a book for you. And they gave me like a real book that actually like walked me through like the way JW beliefs differ from like mainstream Christianity. I was like,
Yeah.
all right, this is good to have. Again, this is a little more culty than most Christian denominations.
Well, mine will be quick. So my family are conservative Christians, except for my immediate family, but they're still Christians. I believe that when you die, nothing happens. It's the same as before you're born. You go back into energy, and life has really no purpose. This is to sound very, very negative,
Nihilistic.
but
Nihilistic is
nothing.
okay.
I don't believe
That's
that anything
accurate,
happens for a reason. Things are random occurrences, and it's just based off the
Wait.
choices we make.
I was
But-
figuring we just pass the bottle around and like
That's what
top
we're doing,
themselves
right?
off a
Oh,
little.
we're talking about topping.
I mean,
was
whatever
just
you
gonna
want to
take
do.
a
Top.
swig out of
You
it.
gonna top?
Go for it,
There's
bro.
not enough for everybody.
That's how
Kill
I
it.
drink.
I'll
Kill
take a
it.
swig out of it.
Some of us gotta drive.
Not him. Yeah.
I
One for the
mean,
road.
That's why
Yeah,
I
I'll
need
take
a
this for the
band.
road. I'm gonna tell you guys a story about one night. Actually, this is terrible. I should.
This is gonna make me sound no. It's
You
not a
are
real
There's
story.
a
It's gonna make me
discrimination
sound-
here.
Sorry,
Like
finish
you
where
drank
you're
from the
coming
bottle and
from.
you're like,
Yeah,
I
definitely
can't
finish
afford
where
it.
you're
That's
and then-
personal.
No. That was it. I'm done. I just I used to be more agnostic like him, but I think I'm full on committed to the fact that I'm pretty confident that nothing happens and that we live life for ourselves. And it's very, very important to me that I'm a good person while I'm alive, because I believe that this is the only life I have. So the thing that bothers me,
Somehow he's still a piece of shit. I don't get it. Right? Yeah. Like,
How do you manage?
Isn't that like everybody, like their personal philosophy can, almost everyone, their personal philosophy will conclude with them saying, I feel like I should be a good person and I strive to be a good person, and we're all pieces
I
of
think
shit.
it ought to. I think it ought to. If it doesn't, that raises concern.
Social psychology says that we're basically all born assholes. Like, I don't know if you guys have studied
sure,
it,
no
but
true
psychology
altruism.
says we fucking suck.
see you later. Yeah.
We're
See you, bro.
selfish,
See
we
you
look out
tomorrow.
for ourselves.
I'm so sorry to interrupt with that.
I gotta pee, but
Stephen,
you guys got this. Go ahead.
It was too perfect of a moment.
that's okay.
So anyway,
We still
please
got this.
continue with what you were saying.
All right, no, that's it. I'm
You
done.
being a piece of shit.
Next.
You're done?
I'm
Next,
done.
okay.
All right. So what do you believe happens when you finally meet? the
What do you
big
think
names?
happens when Kris dies?
When you meet the
You're hosting now. You're asking me the question that
I'm
when
in the-
I was
sorry.
on.
He's
you
in the
were
chair.
gonna
I'm
answer.
in the
I'm
chair.
in the
You
I'm
gotta
in the chair. I'm in
understand.
the king
King
of
of
the
the castle, king of
You
the
gotta
castle.
understand, like, I came on with a band and he asked me all these questions and I'm in a room full of people and the only opinion I had was he was like, what do you hate? And I was like, I don't know, baby, cantaloupe. Cantaloupe
Maybe cantaloupe.
sucks.
Cantaloupe sucks. That's my whole.
I don't like cantaloupe either. Nobody likes. Does
I'm not
anybody
a
like
fan.
cantaloupe?
I
People
fucking
do.
hope
People like
not.
it. Believe it or not,
They-
I
they
don't.
do.
I'm not a fan.
Cantaloupe's the
do.
orange one, right?
It's
orange.
It's orange-ish. Yeah, it's not even. I wouldn't even call it orange.
So it's not
Yeah.
Your shirt's orange.
It's not-
Cantaloupe wants to be orange.
It's not the green one, though,
His
right?
shirt's
No.
pretty
No,
cantaloupe.
that's honeydew,
Okay,
and I've heard it's
orange.
equally
Yeah.
as disgusting,
No,
but I
honey-
haven't tried it, but
honey's
I
about the
believe
same.
them.
Hold on.
Honeydew is bland.
You've never tried honeydew?
No, but I believe them.
Any-
Because
like the
fuck
same.
honeydew.
Any fresh cantaloupe is
Because
decent.
fuck cantaloupe.
No, anytime you go to a store and it's like, I'll take, like, you want a side of fresh fruit, you're like, I'll take fresh fruit. You get like a strawberry, maybe a grape, and it's like cantaloupe and honeydew because
Fair enough. You're right. You're
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, honeydew sucks. Cantaloupe, I'm okay with
I
cantaloupe.
just want like strawberry and blueberry and pineapple, and we're good to
Those
go.
are
That's
really
a
good.
fucking
I'd
party
get-
right there.
My man.
Pineapple
Oh,
costs
yeah.
$2. You
Yeah,
haul it
it's-
out, you pour a PBR in there.
Right.
Sorry.
Whoa,
And you call it
there's a
breakfast.
PBR and a
You move on,
pineapple.
right.
That is the name of the song we wrote.
That sounds like a fucking party.
What song?
It's-
Okay.
This band
Oh, yeah,
doesn't do
this
that.
band,
That
yeah.
was a
It's not our
Steve's
band, yeah.
song.
It was
Okay.
Steve's. Steve, all the
They,
Steve stuff.
they've
was
been in
good.
a couple of bands together, and I'm like the newbie here, I guess.
Ah,
I
right.
feel a
For
little
2
left
years,
out
yeah.
sometimes.
Yeah, you
Well,
know
since you're
what?
feeling left out, what were you gonna say?
Yeah, what
I
are you?
have no idea.
Oh
What
shit.
are you talking about?
Mm.
What
Wait,
about him being a piece of shit?
That might have been.
Something about him being a piece of shit for sure.
So I hear you're a piece of shit.
What's
Is
that
that-
feel
is
like?
that fair?
That's not true.
Okay.
No,
I wasn't picking up on
I
that.
have no idea.
It doesn't matter.
Maybe it's something to do with Doubt, the song.
No,
We
we're
wrote
gonna
it-
pass that song.
We promoted the band. That's
Yeah,
we're
we're
done with that.
all
part.
Well, that's fine.
Chit-chatting.
That's fine because I got another off the wall question.
Okay.
Even better.
This is two-parter.
Okay.
Two-parter. That was Eminem.
M&M's?
Do-do-do-do-do.
But
Do-do-do-do.
again, in no particular order, and this is a two-part question. Extraterrestrials, belief in them, interdimensional aliens, and belief in them. So
I'll go first since I went
Yeah.
last time. Extraterrestrials, I think that just the probability of it has to be accurate.
Mhm.
I'm not saying it's necessarily the same sort of life. as
okay,
what
I'm
we have
sorry.
now.
Three-part question. Do you
Okay.
think they've interacted with Earth?
Most likely, yeah, I would say so. Interdimensional, I'm not really buying the interdimensional thing. I don't have any reason for that.
Extraterrestrials, I think that they probably exist somewhere. I don't know that they've interacted with Earth. I doubt that. I feel like there's such an expanse out there that it feels like there's probably something else out there. As for interdimensional, I feel like about it as almost as I feel like about religion, that it's like something that we just can't know because we can't see beyond our third dimension. Much like I'm sure there's the 2D creatures and with us being 3D creatures.
Flatland.
And then Flatland, that's the one.
Well, you brought up DMT earlier, which was why I was asking, because you know, obviously in a very long time ago in a galaxy far away, have you guys ever experienced that?
I've never experienced DMT, unfortunately. I would like to.
Unfortunately, I have a
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I feel like
have a
you
good
know, I
friend
kind of
who-
want to go on the spiritual journey.
I'm interested to ask you
I'm
again
also
about this
scared.
after you've done that.
I have a good friend who is a
Come back.
serious
but
psychonaut.
next week on the podcast.
Next time, Alice.
Right, yeah.
I have a good friend who's a serious psychonaut, and they have not done DMT just because they've said like That's when you got to be careful with, because
it's
it
the
will
ledge.
give you a religious experience that can change your life,
Yeah,
and you got to be ready for that.
Yeah. 100%.
And I think that there's reasons for that. Obviously I've read into some of that kind of stuff. But yeah, that's a journey that one day I'll probably take. But I'm also like, I'm fearful of it, but at the same time excited for it. It's a hard.
Once you've done it, just text me. I'm ready, and then we'll come back on.
Have
and
you
we'll talk about-
experienced DMT?
I have. I've had several experiences. I guess
What do you take away from it?
the one
That's a loaded question.
the one most relevant to this conversation. One time I was shown, and I do not take this at face value. I take it with a grain of salt. Like, this was a drug experience, right?
Sure.
But the experience that I had, I was shown that in the beginning, there was the universe, I guess.
I was waiting for God created the
God created the heavens and the
All right, I was
honestly
like,
kind
oh,
of
shit.
Genesis,
a little
motherfucker.
bit,
Jehovah.
a little
Let the
bit.
Quakers know.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Sorry.
that also
No,
dude is freaking out. Right
In
now.
the beginning,
he
God
totally
created
derailed
oats.
I'm so
Yeah.
sorry.
I blame all you guys. It's cool. Thank you.
I'm a piece of shit. What can I
Yeah.
say?
But I was shown that in the okay, so imagine that there's the universe. I don't really know what that means exactly, but imagine that there's something, okay, and then that something wakes up to the fact that it exists. Consciousness arises,
Okay.
seemingly from nothing, but the universe wakes up, and then the universe goes, "Oh shit, I am profoundly alone. I am all there is," in a way that we can't comprehend. So then
You okay over there?
Ouch.
then life happens.
The universe is so fucking alone.
It
dude.
then
Knocked her out of frame. And
Yeah.
we lost Cordie.
The universe is
Come back,
alone.
Cordie.
Told me we die alone,
Right.
essentially. I'm
And it's
fine.
hilarious how
Well-
alone the universe
Well,
is.
actually, what I'm saying
Remember,
is,
'Cause
in
it's a
country
piece of
music,
shit.
lonesome is code for horny.
Oh Lord.
well,
They're
God was
not
so
the same. I've been both.
God was
I
so
did not
horny.
expect this. God was so horny that he gave his own God's son.
That's what I'm saying. Is God was so lonely / horny that he created life, and he was like, I'm gonna go down and inhabit these avatars and pretend that I'm not alone. So what I'm saying is, I think we are all literally the same person.
Hmm.
I think
Okay.
I think the thing that pilots me is identical to the thing that pilots all of us, including ants, everything, every life.
That's not a
grass-
Christian belief, though, is
It's not
it?
a
No, a
Christian
little bit not, is it?
Have you
That's
heard
like
of, the egg?
semi-Buddhist?
You know what? It depends how
Like,
you look
I'm
at
gonna
it.
stay out here is what you're saying.
I'm gonna stay right
Like,
the fuck here.
There's
So-
there's a thing called the egg. That's the theory that we come back and live every life.
That's basically what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's a
Yeah.
philosophy that I came up with in like middle school.
you didn't
it would be.
come
It
up
would
with
be.
that.
Well, I
mean,
guess.
Well, he probably
I
I
came-
probably
he
did, but
thought
it's like one of those
it.
things like
But you know,
it's,
this is somebody else.
I'm
already
not-
thought of.
yeah.
You didn't patent it, though.
I didn't
Yeah.
patent it. Plus, also somebody probably beat me to it by thousands of years.
Yeah, right. It's like if you die and that's what happens, you owe me like so much money.
My clever thought was like every
Right?
human is eternal. My clever thought was like every sentient being, every angel, every demon, every human god are the same consciousness
Yes.
in succession though.
Yeah.
So like
Okay.
each one lives for infinity.
Okay. I see what you
And
mean.
then when infinity expires, moves on to the next one.
Shit.
That was my clever thought.
But like beyond that, what if
That's a
what
step
if
further than what I'm saying.
religious belief, like spiritual conscientiousness, like it's not a matter of like this is what I believe. Like maybe that's like the same thing as saying like, for example, the law of attraction, like spirituality in the most
Like belief shapes reality.
superfluous forms. Like yeah, like you see what you expect to see, you don't see what you don't expect to see. That's social psychology.
There's
But the
some
law of
truth to that.
attraction says that
Confirmation
we
bias.
attract what we think to us. Exactly, confirmation bias. Like maybe we're all out here saying the same fucking thing
In different ways.
vehemently
Yeah, because
in a language that resonates with us, and we're fighting over semantics.
Because
That's
I'm
how I feel
wondering
about
how,
it.
if we're all the same being, how do we like the band, but he doesn't like
I have an
the
answer to
band?
that.
How do you not like the band?
How do you not like the
We
band?
all like the band. You're the
Okay.
outcast.
And he's
Actually, I
like,
have an
and
answer
have
for
you
you.
heard the band? They're fucking absolute shit.
Look, I'm just saying, I'm not in the minority here.
Especially the bass player.
You
Yeah.
sound like you're in the minority at the maximum you have.
You're in the
you
minority
have
of this
had.
room.
Like,
We
if
all
we
like
take
Moonlight Drowns.
Every single human in the world and ask them what they think about Moonlight Drowns.
Okay.
That's
Now,
not
most of
fair.
them are not gonna like it, but that's
Wait,
not
what?
fair, right? Yeah. That
Who?
doesn't count.
Um,
You would at least expect the bass player to like it. All right.
Yeah, I
He
like
does
it.
low key. Listen, one drunken night, and I mean drunk.
He told you
After
how
the
he
show.
really felt.
Me and PH had a little heart to heart, and we were like basically sobbing to each other. And I was like, PH, you do contribute so much to the band. And I really appreciate you being in here. And he's like, man, I do really like the band. Like, don't tell anybody.
Oh, you heard it here first, guys.
You guys do. We actually do make some good music together. And I was like, oh, dude. We started making out. And it was like, listen, it was a beautiful
Did you
moment.
tell Steve? I feel like he feels betrayed now.
I feel like this is our sort of coming out party with Steve, letting him know. Because
Thanks for doing it here.
right? Yeah,
Yeah,
I
usually it's
appreciate
me
it.
and Steve that do the making out, but
Yeah,
sometimes I go
officially,
for-
PH loves the band. Like it fulfills
officially,
him.
right?
This is
Officially,
what
here
he's
on
going
out,
to do.
everybody knows.
And we're capturing your initial reaction hearing this. So what are your thoughts on?
What are your
How
thoughts?
do
Dave?
you feel,
Oh, being
Steve,
cheated on. What are
without
you-
the PH?
It's real
Excited.
Jerry Springer vibes.
Grateful.
Right? Yeah.
My,
Does Tosh know?
my keyboardist is cheating on me with my bassist.
From
Jerry,
flying
Jerry,
to
That does
Jerry.
seem like a show. I'm pretty sure I saw that one. Like not before the show went too crazy, but when it was just like starting to be at the point where it's like, oh wow, let me check
Yeah,
this
it
out.
started the Locust.
Yeah.
The grindcore band, the Locust. It was the guy from the Locust with his girlfriend talking about how he cheated on the girlfriend with their female roommate and
Oh.
also his tour
Oh,
manager,
God.
who was
So
another
you're
dude.
telling me he deserves to die?
Well, it's just like it was one of those things like you watch
that's
it,
clear.
you watch it 15 years later, and it's so obvious that everything was staged. Just like the dude walks out on the stage and makes out with everybody who's there, and the girlfriend keeps on trying to fight everyone who's there. It's
I
like,
really
okay.
liked it when then the bouncer Steve, he started becoming a more presence, and then he eventually
yeah.
got his own show.
He got his
The
own
Steve
show.
Wilco
Right, I
show,
know. Oh, that's right.
You know, I'm here for trivia.
It's always good to see Steve's do well.
Right,
Dude,
yeah.
Yeah.
All
as long
about
as the
that.
Steve is in control, I feel like things are all right.
You got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Sometimes.
This country really went downhill when we stopped electing Steve's president.
Or
100%.
King.
Yeah.
Stopped
That's
electing
when this
Steve's
country
king.
stopped. Yeah,
Yeah.
it really went downhill.
Can we
There's
go back
a lot
to
of names, and we should add some variety to it. Maybe
What?
some Stephanie's. I don't know.
we tried
As,
to
as I said, like
Honest.
Stefan's, Esteban's, Stephanie's, they're all Steve's. It's fine.
Do you guys believe that there's no true altruism, or do you believe in it?
I do believe that I studied social psychology, so I do believe that the inherent nature of humans is to be selfish and to look out for themselves. But I think that within that we have to adjust what we think altruism means. You know, like you can be altruistic and self-focused at the same time, and I think that
That's
it's a
okay?
matter of your intentions, much
Yeah.
like Buddhism says. Like the intentions are more important than the action. Like if you're looking to
I like that.
sacrifice yourself, that's very different than looking to sacrifice somebody that you don't have the agency to speak for.
Sure.
So
I agree with
even-
that. Yeah.
Even if it's for yourself, at least you're doing.
I would
good for a
absolutely.
cause,
I mean,
right?
yeah, for sure.
I would
If you
say-
could not go
So-
about it that way.
So
right?
this is what I'm about to say is not very helpful because it basically makes altruism obsolete. But I think every action is selfish. If you are sacrificing yourself for someone else, there's an aspect of that in your head where you go, I feel good about what I'm doing.
You feel
right
good
now.
about it, right? Yeah.
It's fair.
Why is that selfish?
I hold the same stance. I don't believe
There's
that
a
there's
a
such
seed
thing
of
as
selfishness
altruism.
in it.
No, I disagree hard.
I think everything that everybody does is ultimately do down for themselves.
That's
I
the
feel
most
I feel that's
negative
true at
point
the
of view.
core of our
It's
human
horrible.
nature,
I
but
It's
it's
agree
a
weird that Steve
matter
and I
I
are
don't
like
like
on a
it
very
either.
philosophically
Yeah.
similar place. I agree with Steve here. Like,
I don't like.
What
I
is
think-
on the chopping
that-
block? Are you on the chopping block? Are you willing to put somebody else on the chopping block?
Have you ever played Skyrim? I don't know
Briefly,
why
I'm
they're
very
talking about
bad at
chopping
it.
block.
but I feel
You know
like
what I'm talking about.
cheese is on the chopping
The very
block, right?
beginning.
Like wheels of cheese.
Yeah, my dude.
So
And wheels of cheese. Skyrim, it's like they chop the dude's head off. And
I agree that it's pessimistic, but do you have an argument against it?
I'm not saying myself, but I definitely have known people that
Steven
I,
is a selfish piece of shit, and he knows.
yeah, I know, and I
Right.
for sure. But
Not to argue.
no,
with
I
that.
You're getting a bad rep, man. Like,
That's okay.
I
He
think you're
deserves
cool.
Thank you, appreciate
Yeah.
it. Just kidding.
But
But
actually,
actually,
like a
he's not
counter
like
of like
he
how
was.
many times somebody gets called a piece of shit.
It's a me, so it
It's a
can
guy
cut you
counter.
in your heart.
let me just say, you guys are great guests.
Regardless of what piece of shit you are.
You're assholes, but you're entertaining assholes.
I've known tons of people who I 100% believe
Or a piece of shit.
are just the word. No, who do things strictly because they care about others, and I do that in my own life. I'll put a lot of people ahead of myself. Are there selfish aspects to helping people? For sure, but I wouldn't say that it's all that. Definitely, when it comes down to it, people are selfish, but we will do the right thing when we need to, and we will be there for others, and it's not about being concerned with ourselves. People all the time in life or death situations sacrifice themselves to save someone else, and it's a split moment decision, and they're not thinking about how they're going to be perceived or anything. They're thinking about what's better for others.
I definitely get what you're saying. I think at the core of it, it's not entirely selfish. Let's say it's 99% selfless, but I think there's that seed of it where it's like there is an aspect of this where you get something out of it. You get a little bit of dopamine release knowing that you helped someone.
At
This
the
is-
same time, we don't though. Like we have the bystander effect for a reason. Like people, like it's known that if you're in a crowd and you see somebody being beat to death or choking, like because you see other people around you, you feel like I don't need to act.
That happens.
There's no
That
reason for me to do
That does.
anything. Like people don't step in situations of crisis. We've seen many a psychological study where people do the wrong thing because of the influence of authority, and that's fair enough. We can blame it on authority, but at the end of the day, like people don't step up and do the right thing in a crowd of people.
I
that needs to be
disagree.
done.
I think that sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't, and
But both are definitely true. Yeah.
So why do you have a queen and a joker on your big hammer there?
The short answer is
There's a
because she
king
put
in
them there.
between.
I put them there. I don't know.
I feel like there's no like symbolism behind the queen and the joker.
I wasn't sure what I stood for, so I wanted to make sure I was represented on both sides. I don't know what to say.
Okay.
I'm definitely the queen,
Don't get
and
me
she's the
started.
Joker.
I don't know
That's
what you
what-
mean.
that's
You're
what-
the queen.
Uh-huh. There you
As
go.
the viewership, I'm the queen. You can hit me all you want to. It only strengthens my stand.
It makes me stronger.
You make me sympathetic to the viewership.
I do like the colors. You got the purple
Yeah.
and gold. Are you big LA Lakers fans?
It's
Huge,
purple.
love.
It's purple and
Huge.
green.
That's actually the main thing we talk
Right.
about.
He's
It's-
basically
That's mostly what we talk about. It's like-
We've
They're
never
basically Jack
discussed
Nicholson.
that. Why are you lying to the people? It's
That's
it's
not
purple
Alice in
and
Wonderland.
green.
That's actually Kobe.
Give it to him.
Kobe in
Hold
Wonderland.
it.
Because
Hold
what
it.
happens after you're done?
Oh my
you know?
God.
Right, yeah.
Hold
Kobe.
the hammer.
That's
It's
all.
purple
Feel the
and
power.
green, but the green is like
Okay.
So
reflect-
New Orleans
I
colors.
see. Yeah.
Yeah. Kobe in New Orleans. I saw that movie.
I don't know.
Kobe.
I thought that was
It was a
most,
double
like-
feature with Ernest and
I thought that was a color pattern he would appreciate.
I remember that.
like
Starring
purple and
Ernest
green. I don't
and
know.
Ernest's co-star, the camp.
So
God, it feels good to slam that.
doesn't
you're
it
saying
the
starring
owner?
Ernest
You're
and
Thor.
Kobe.
I'm Thor, dude.
Does,
Yeah,
does,
like I feel
sure.
powered.
I thought that was supposed to be like a Harley Quinn kind of thing.
I
Did you say
researched.
Harley Quinn or Harlequin?
I got a Harley Quinn
Yeah.
on my undershirt.
Oh, you
Take it off.
Undershirt.
Yeah,
Take
take
it
it
off.
Don't take it off.
Woo! I'll shed
I
just a little bit. There's
Ooh,
Harley
too
Quinn
much,
down
too
there,
much.
Yeah, that too.
They're not ready for
we
it.
see it. Oh,
Yeah, you see it. She's like, we see it. Put it away.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Stop
All right,
it,
listen.
stop
I'm
it.
going as fast as I can. It's 2 buttons. Jesus Christ. Or learn to save your father an hour.
Yeah.
Uh,
Norman.
do you guys believe in free will? Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't.
I don't like not believing it.
What does that mean?
I entertain what she
Shit,
said.
shit just happens, but you can make your own
entertain-
choices.
I entertain the thought that there's not a free will, but at the end of the day, a lot
Okay,
of people.
if you
at
end
the
up
end
which
of the
day?
day,
I think this is fair.
This is
If you
fair.
believe in free will, what you should be able to define what that means. So what does free will mean to you?
then I get to choose what I do.
Yeah.
Oh,
You don't get to
At the end
choose.
of the day, Stephen really hates people say. At the end of the day,
I don't like idioms. I'm not a fan of
So,
idioms.
yeah. At the end of the day, I can walk out in front of a bus. That's what people always say, right?
You can choose what you
I
do.
can
You don't
choose
choose
what I
what
do.
people do around you.
Right.
But what people do around you affects what you do.
Of course.
And then there's
But that
like
doesn't take away free
determinism
will.
and the
I
fact
kind
that,
of, in my opinion, it does, because if you take it back far enough, it's like, well, okay, I guess coming from where I'm at, it's like I literally think we're all the same person. So maybe I'm biased on this. But I think what makes us different is what your parents bring into the equation, your biology, and then your environment, experiences you have. So I think what makes us different and makes us think differently is like I've had a different life, and we have different genetics, obviously. I think that is it.
Yeah.
And now that being said, I have to pretend that we have free will, because even if you believe in determinism, you have to act as though you make decisions.
Well, I mean, if you believe in determinism, you have to act the way you were going to act regardless.
Sure, yeah.
You have to act.
You were
whatever
always
way
going
your
to act
beliefs
that way,
don't
and you
actually
always
matter.
will. Yeah.
So let me ask you this. So if you were to bring out like a line of cocaine right now and you just snort the shit out of it, you said, "This is fucking awesome. Chris, you want to snort cocaine?" And Chris goes, "Not tonight." And he leaves. That wasn't his own free will? Or
That's
that
based
was always
on-
determined that was going to
I'm
happen?
gonna give you another
It's
example.
based on my parents and how I was raised and all
So
this
we
kind
can,
of
yes,
stuff. It's
exactly.
like-
We can
it's
point
like
to
it's like-
an easier example would be like, why did you pick Coca-Cola instead of Pepsi? Well, I like this one more. Well, why? Is it because of advertising? Is it because you were given more of that as a child? And then, so that's a pretty easy example we can point to. We can say, oh,
Okay.
advertising is the reason you chose Taco Bell instead of McDonald's.
Okay.
That's pretty
Yeah.
easy.
Or my parents always had Coca-Cola, so like I
Yeah.
did Coca-Cola.
But if
which is
we're,
probably accurate.
so
My
we're getting
parents
into,
always had Christian rock, so I did not.
Right.
right, exactly. You can have a positive effect to
that-
it or a negative effect.
Yeah.
So like, so like Coca-Cola, Pepsi, that's pretty like surface level thing. But if we're talking about like the spouse you choose, it's like what led you to make that decision.
I have daddy issues. Is the reason. I chose my
I
spouse.
think the decisions we make are much
No
like
spouse.
this
Which is no
Coca-Cola
spouse,
Pepsi
right.
thing, where it's like it's based on prior stimulus. I think.
Mhm.
I think what makes us us is our environment and our biology.
Yeah. I get that. That makes sense.
Okay.
If you have I would, if you don't think that's what's going on, I'm very interested to know what you think is going on.
I do think that all of that has a play in it, and
Yeah.
I also think that we have a choice. I think
Yeah.
that it's-
That
it's
it all
part of
affects
everything.
it, but you
So
still
we still have a
make your own
conscious
choice.
experience,
Mm.
and that's wholly part of the conscious.
that makes you who
experience.
you are, right? I
And
mean,
it didn't,
you're-
we could.
So if it
like,
was-
could not, it could be determined. There's people like if you know the position of every molecule and the velocity, you can determine everything that happens in the universe. And maybe that's
I
true
think
to an
that's
extent.
A
But I think
fundamental
that's
science,
assumption
yeah.
of
Yeah,
that's a fundamental assumption of determinism, right?
absolutely.
It's
But
like determinism says all of the matter in the universe existed in a certain state at a certain time and has continued from there, and it is all just physics interactions and like any sense that we have a self or mind or free will is just an illusion from
Yeah.
the initial state of the universe.
And that
Which
is kind of
sort
what
of-
I'm saying. And like if you made a decision where it's like I am gonna just step in front, I'm not suicidal, but I'm just gonna step in front of this bus today.
Mhm.
Let's say that was actually like some weird neurons firing in your brain, like it was just a weird happenstance that made you make that decision. That's still out of your control.
Yeah, I just really what I feel like, because I've thought about free will and the options of it a lot, is that I look at like purpose and intention a lot when I think about those sort of things. And in a universe where none of us really make any decisions and it's all no free will and it's all deterministic and everything just happens because it
Boring.
happens, is sort of pointless. Yeah, it doesn't seem much of a purpose. And the universe seems pretty well designed. Arguably, a lot of people would say that it's not, but to me, that it seems pretty well designed, and there seems to be some intention behind it. So
There's
something like
purpose.
that just seems,
Yeah.
there seems to be a purpose, and that just seems to be without a purpose.
I
I
hear
guess
you.
that's why I get the argument for it, and you know what? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's all set up.
Well,
to
I
look
certainly don't
like-
know, so I could be
maybe-
wrong too.
Maybe
Yeah.
it's all set up to look like we have free will. Maybe that's part of the point, right?
Hmm.
So that it does look like free will.
I will definitely agree with you that it appears
Right.
that way.
It does appear that way. And then, you know, so I try to like devil's advocate. Look
Sure,
at it that
yeah.
there's definitely possible either way.
So I would say the trick with the predictable physics deterministic interpretation of the universe is it requires the universe to be a closed system. You sort of like saying that if you know the initial state of all matter, you can from there, with a powerful enough mind, you can extrapolate the entire course of the universe throughout all of
Everything.
history.
Sure.
Requires that to be a closed system. And
I see
honestly,
what you mean,
if you're
yeah.
able to observe it that way, it's not a closed system because you're an entity outside of it. And that gets into the like, the universe exists in a non-entropic state right now. Like matter exists in an organized state now, which is in violation of one of the first two laws of thermodynamics.
Which is the progression. from
Which is
one state to another, basically.
matter cannot be created, matter and energy cannot be created or destroyed. And in a closed system, energy tends towards greater entropy and less organization, which means the universe isn't a closed system.
Oh, interesting.
Like the fact that we
So-
exist and are able to observe things in any way means that any attempts to like define the entire universe in any way is a
Bucks is
non-starter.
all
To
up,
you,
right?
is that
Turns on its
evidence
head.
of like a multiverse or like multiple dimensions or?
I've generally interpreted as evidence of God.
Okay, I got you. Yeah,
But
this
it could-
creator and creation.
It
sure.
could be like
Yeah.
to jump back a couple questions. It could be a multiversal kind of thing.
Mhm.
Like there's the thought of like multiple universes with different rule sets colliding with each other. Like if you had a universe made of antimatter and our universe ran into each other, who knows what happens to each other?
Right.
Sort of fundamentally, nobody
Sure.
can know because like it's outside of the universe.
Or some sort of simulation where it's not like a simulation, but necessarily a computer program on an advanced scale, because the universe does
That's
seem
very,
to operate like
God,
a
I hope I'm
computer
a
program.
simulation.
That's very actually Hindu. Like Shiva does a dance, and we're all in God's dream. Is very similar idea to we're in a matrix.
And he has
Right.
binary on his arms, and what
I
this
saw that.
actually what this
I saw that.
actually says
Is
is I'm a little bitch. I'm a piece of shit.
Does it really?
No, it says
No.
it says I'm a giant fucking nerd. It says 2 + 2 does not equal 5 and 6 × 9 = 42.
Which is the meaning of life.
So yeah,
Yeah.
so
so no, you
1984 was ended with like
it's a good year.
the party will try to convince you that two and two makes 5, and
Mhm.
so 2 + 2 does not equal 5. To say truth is objective.
Yes.
There is not like
Yeah.
we all
I
have our
agree.
subjective
Yeah.
interpretation of things, but the actual objective truth of the universe is a thing.
Yes.
6 × 9 = 42 is to say it's very difficult to know what the truth is, and it's also difficult to know what the important truths are. So like pick your battles.
That's very Hitchhikers, right?
It's specifically Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
This is
Like
your
4 books in. What
podcast.
do you get when you multiply 6
But-
by 9?
Can I ask a question?
Absolutely.
Have you
Steven
ever
with a V.
have you ever actually checked that to make sure, like, you looked at it like, oh fuck, no, this one is off.
That's a good question.
Yes.
Okay. You went, ah,
Like I showed up with a printout. They printed it out on the special paper, wrapped it around my arm, and
Of course they did.
Traced it.
I was there when he got the second one.
Nice. When's the last time you guys cried?
Ooh, good question.
that's a good
Yeah.
question.
I think when I watched Moana with my daughter last, pulls in my heartstrings. That movie.
I guess I should also say
He cries at every movie.
you
that
don't
Rock
have to
does.
answer
Every
this
movie I've ever
question
watched.
also.
With
but-
the
No,
Well,
I
it
don't.
might
I
have
don't know
been
when the
You
last
Got
time I
Me.
cried. Might have been middle school, and I recognize that that's like not healthy. But it's just like
Concerning.
I just like
Yeah.
I'm not a crier.
The last time we made out, he cried. So.
Jeez.
I cried last night because I suck at guitar. It's fine.
No, is that
Aw.
what made you cry?
You did great. I told you you're a star.
Oh, let me hear
Thank you.
something.
You actually, yeah, you really don't suck at
Oh,
guitar.
so
So,
something
so
like
if that's
that.
true, that's really
cried-
sad.
I cried last night. I
Don't
was
cry.
writing a song on guitar and I was like, we suck at this. And I was trying to record an Instagram video for it. And I was like, oh,
Was the song about how bad you suck at guitar?
No, it
We
wasn't.
should just do that.
The
Would have been way
the
easier to pull
the-
off.
I'm
back, Tony.
Like
The
the
song checks
standout
out,
line from
yeah.
the chorus is so don't remind me what is missing. Don't remind me no one's missing me.
I like
And,
that. That's really cool.
Yeah, just fucking cry because what I
It's
wanted
okay-
to be.
it's okay to
I'm
cry,
trying,
but-
I'm trying so hard. I've done like 24 fucking videos, and at the end of the day, whatever I post, like people are gonna tell me that I don't put in effort, that I don't try, that I
That's
You're
not,
not good enough.
but that's,
exactly.
but don't base your self-worth around what people like that say.
I try not to. But
Yeah.
like at the end of the day, we cry. We cry a lot.
Mhm.
At the
and
end of the
None
day,
us are good
Steve,
enough. At
we
the end of
cry.
the day, Steve,
We cry at the end of the day.
That's fine.
It is what it is.
it is what it is. We
That's
did
right.
not post a video, and because
What's
we were
another
too
one you
drunk.
Did you say you were too drunk?
We drank a lot of whiskey.
Well, that's probably the issue.
Oh, that's
with
probably
not
why you weren't
playing
able to play the
yeah.
guitar.
That makes
I mean,
sense.
that's,
I
yeah,
can't
usually how it
play the
goes.
That's called logic.
Who do you think you are, Lemmy?
I know what fucking
Yeah, are you
shape.
dead?
It's the
Yeah.
powered chord shape, and it's unlocked. So
That's all
many
you
doors
just
maybe
and
try-
mashing.
Play guitar sober next time.
That's all Steven knows.
Yeah,
If you emotion's not
Upside down.
there, that's how
Yeah,
I feel.
upside down.
You gotta post the video
your
when
writing.
you write it.
Yeah, do your writing and
Like
Yeah.
I would say I would be a lot more impressed if I was like I wrote a song and I'm gonna post it after I'm comfortable with it. But at the same time, I feel like I wrote a song and this is where the
That's a lot more
emotion
talk,
is.
sure.
This is where the
Yeah.
passion is, and like if you don't see that, then
So
what are you seeing?
I've been home recording for 20 years now, and that is a mantra I encountered pretty early is write drunk, record sober.
Right.
If you are inspired by like being on those chemicals, get those parts like written,
Mhm.
and then get those ideas organized when you're sober.
Yeah.
Edit sober, really.
That's pretty much what we've done.
Yeah,
I feel
never.
like 'cause
It's true. We drink a lot during practice, and we get to the end of practice, we're like, "Hey, this is a song."
Yeah,
Yeah, and
never.
then but then like when we go to record, obviously we've been very
Yeah.
serious about that. So that may like
Yeah, never live stream drunk.
like me and Steven.
Yeah.
Just say
Or
it, do what you
just-
say.
yeah.
The song is called "Why Travis Baker Sucks."
Right.
Yeah.
So me and
Why?
Travis Baker.
yeah, very
No,
true.
no, not to be confused with Travis Barker.
Yeah, unrelated.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah, no, that's where I jumped to, too, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, who the fuck is Travis Baker?
I don't know.
Steven
We
and
wrote
I
a
got
good song
it.
about
He
it.
fucking
He
sucks,
sucks.
is all I know.
Yeah, we're featuring him on one song.
It's stupid.
Right.
Travis
Yeah.
Baker.
You,
How does it
you
feel
know who
to
you
that
are.
Actually, the words to featuring Travis Baker are, "How does it feel to know that you totally suck?"
Nice.
Yeah, that's the chorus. That's
Oh
a
my
new song,
God.
not even
It's not on
this
this album. It'll be on the
Yeah,
next
yeah,
one.
it'll be on the
Talk
next
about
one.
that
I'm
next year.
so looking forward to the
Me
show.
too.
It'll be
The 8th is gonna be dope.
Yeah, it's gonna be
It's
a lot
gonna
of
be
fun.
so good. Like
I forget
Betty
what I was
isn't
gonna say.
gonna know what
Something
they
about
signed
how
up
you're a
for.
piece of shit. I'm sure. 100%. Yeah.
3 pieces of shit for Steve, 1 for Chris.
So I already asked you guys about interdimensional aliens, so that kind of answers my question. But do you have any ghost stories? Anything you can't explain with logic?
I don't subscribe to ghosts.
So I worked at a theater in East Tennessee called Country Night Theater, and there was supposedly a ghost there. A few people had seen him. He wears a buffalo plaid shirt like the one he got on.
Oh, so you're trying to say it's
It could be me.
Are we saying this podcast, this entire time, this podcast isn't real? It's just like ghosts.
Yeah, right.
What a waste of
Ah,
time.
And
I'll see you guys next month.
This is actually a
I was gonna
seance.
say.
You got, yeah.
according to his theory, he's lived all the lives and all of that sort of stuff. So he is the ghost. If it was a person,
Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost.
that's
Yeah.
right. You are we're all the ghosts.
Yeah.
Really.
We're all the Father. We're all the Son. We're all the
We're all
ghost.
the right.
Do you believe in
Amen.
ghosts?
No.
I guess
Okay.
to spin that
I
out a
do have
little
a
bit
ghost
more.
story, though,
do you
I
have
guess.
any? Yeah. Do you have any experiences that you can't immediately like rectify with logic?
Why
And
this
the
guy's
ghost
such a
stories
piece
is
of
not
shit,
specific
like-
enough.
No, yeah, I have a
With
ghost story.
logic, I try to think
You can
about.
bad rap.
Can I
why.
use your restroom?
Absolutely, around the left.
My ghost story isn't a story that
I'm
Good
leaving.
luck,
I'm actually just
motherfucker.
leaving for
Case
good.
in
see you,
point,
man. It's good to see you.
What a
Alright,
big
see you
piece of
tomorrow.
shit this guy is. Of course, he bails on us on the during the podcast.
Once it starts getting spooky, coward.
Yeah. As soon as we start talking about ghosts, he's out of here.
But no, please.
So I took one of my friends and former bandmates we had a couple
No,
other
it's
friends that
people.
were both looking for roommates, and we're like, oh, these guys would be totally cool roommates. And so like the four of us together, like as a team building exercise, we snuck into the abandoned prison.
Okay.
And we just like skulked around. I got some audio samples that are in my drum machine right now. They're cool.
Hell yeah.
And then we all went home, whatever. Not really much came of it, but like several months later, I was with my friend's wife and we were like going around hanging up posters. And like I at some point offhand mentioned the prison somehow. I was like, I shouldn't have told her. She was not supposed to know. But she was like, oh, that's what's happened. I was like, what are you talking about? And she was like, she pointed to a book about hauntings. Like, that's what happened. Greg came back haunted. I was like,
Oh.
okay. Anyways, let's hang this poster up and move on to the next one.
Are your glasses octagonal?
I don't think so.
They're
Almost.
they're certainly not. They're a special shape. Are
They're
they?
some
They're,
kind of shape.
They're whatever shape the frame
they're
manufacturers.
whatever shape they manufacture, man. Oh, okay, yeah, thank
Good
you.
answer.
The frame
Not-
manufacturer.
Sorry, not a totally fucking obvious
I thought that was cool. I don't know.
I mean,
whatever.
God might be real. It's like,
it's fashion.
You know what? They're the frame. They're the shape that the manufacturer made them in.
Right.
You can't
that,
argue.
that is true.
That is
that is
fact.
true.
That
We
is
don't have
fact.
a lot of time left. What was the moment that you guys felt that you realized music was how you communicated with the world? Like, what was the
Okay.
moment that you were like, this is what matters most to me?
When you think
I
about
feel
it,
like that it wasn't as long ago as maybe it should be.
I feel that.
Yeah, because I've always like played music a bit, you know, and it's always been pretty much a hobby for me. Not something that I ever really thought I was that good at, just something that I enjoyed doing. And it was within the past couple of years, really, since we started this band, that when we started writing and things really clicked with me and Steven. And we
Stevens.
we got PH involved and we started to really make a thing of it. And I was like, this is something special. We got something cool going on here. I think this is something we could do. PH has obviously been doing music pretty much professionally for a long time. So his answer is going to be a bit different.
Yeah, so I grew up in a music family. My dad has always been a giant gear geek, and my mom taught piano lessons, etc. So like I grew up surrounded by music and playing music, you know, not always by choice, but like I've always been relatively musically literate, just because of the environment I was raised in. And I think probably the moment that like it really clicked that like music was something I loved doing and wanted to do a lot of was like, I was just driving somewhere with my dad in middle school and we were listening to whatever classic rock radio. And I think it was Pink Floyd's Comfortably Numb was on the radio and I was singing along with it. And Dad was like, you're actually like hitting all these notes. You're a pretty competent vocalist. And I was like, oh, that's cool. Maybe I'll write my own songs and like be in a rock band.
That I don't even like.
And like, so
Yeah.
sort of my whole life since then has been like various iterations of like, yeah, I mean, being various goals of like being in music. At some point, it wasn't until my like late 20s that I realized that I'm a bassist specifically, that like I am all about
That bass.
I'm
Sorry, yeah.
No,
I had
it's
fun.
cool.
While you're on that, I had a fun too, because I kind of realized like you're the pH, but
Mhm.
you're also like a bass.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's like you're bringing
Yeah,
down the
yeah,
acidity.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, go ahead.
But yeah, like so like I realized at some point in my
It
late
really does. He brings down the sourness that Steven brings to the
I realized sometime in my late 20s that like I really like being the guy who just like supports the project in whatever way needs to be done. I like, you know, figuring out what bass line needs to happen, figuring out what harmonies need to happen, being decent at getting ideas recorded and writing songs, whatever needs to be done. I really enjoy like being in a bunch of different projects and being able to help them all along.
I gotta say that's something that really impressed me about PH.
Yeah,
I
it's
hate to
important.
talk about him in a
In a
positive
positive-
light.
It's true. They do hate this.
But obviously really good bass player. But the musicality and the harmonies that he brought along to the table,
Mhm.
I feel is a big part of what gives us our sound overall.
Mhm.
And he hears
Not the first time a
harmonies.
bass player carries the band. I'm just kidding.
I know, right? Yeah, for sure. There's
didn't mean it,
he
Steve.
hears
No, it's
harmonies
okay.
in a different
No,
way
it's great.
than I do, and when he does harmonies, it's just like wow, it's like it's amazing to me. And he does it great, and I love it.
It's probably one of the
Yeah,
areas
I'm
I
a
have the
big fan.
least actual training in. I just like sing parts that sound good to me.
Gotcha.
And so obviously,
It sounds like you guys are
Nice.
having fun, which is like, I know personally, like when I go see live music, that's a big thing I pay attention to. Is like, are the people on stage having fun at what they're doing?
Yeah.
For sure.
I think
Very-
that's something special amongst us is that we have a good fun rapport with each other.
And
uh,
this, and this is a new band. We haven't played live much, but that's been kind of our whole thing since we've been playing together. Is like be interesting live, be fun, and be energetic. Don't be boring.
Yeah,
It's like the
boring.
biggest sin you can,
Yeah.
especially in like doing kind of rock music. Like just standing there and being boring is like really the worst thing you could do.
Right.
Yeah, no, I hear you. It's better to be like risky and people hate it than not remember you, right? It's like-
Yeah. Or I mean, some people have different opinions on this. I would rather be fun live than hit all the correct notes. But maybe I mean a lot of people will have a different opinion on that. They'd be like, well, maybe if you like calm.
Oh, is
stay
that what
put-
you're doing?
Yeah, yeah.
It's being fun and
Yeah.
not right.
People
No,
don't
no,
notice
like,
the
I'm
notes you
fun,
miss
I'm
live.
not
Sure.
good, right? Yeah.
You know, like
I'm
when
just
you
being
record
fun.
it, like get it really good, and then people listen to the recording over and over and over again, hopefully.
Are you done? Are you down?
I'm trying to look for
Jump
my
with me.
keys because I gotta work tomorrow.
Is it these ones?
Yeah. Is
What?
it the
Yeah, it's the,
Yeah, that's it. That's right.
get them, grab them. Yeah. There you go.
I'm not that important. There was somewhere.
Wait, I got one more question for
one
you
more?
guys
All right, one more.
before.
Okay, fine. I'll say.
Yeah, stay for the
You
last
can't
one.
leave. You can't leave.
Yeah. You also didn't answer the question of like, what made you decide you want to do music?
That's true.
We both answered.
When I was a kid, I remember going to church with my dad, and he cleaned the church, and I would help him with that. And a big part of my childhood was that when I contributed to the family, I wanted a job. And they were like, like you can help your dad clean the church, and I'm like, that's not bringing new revenue streams to the family. Granted, I didn't say it like that. But I was like,
Right. I was 3 years old.
Yeah.
That's like, that's not bringing
Yeah,
in
that's
enough.
the bottom line.
I was like, I should help you with that for free. That's not really me having a job, but that's the outlook I had on it. And but outside of that, I just remember like cleaning the church with my dad, for no benefit to myself, because that was what he did. It's what my family believed in, and thinking this is a horrifying place. Like I've seen the rain. I've seen, the rain. This is like somebody is gonna rise out of this baptization tank to suck my soul away.
Oh, you said
And
the ring.
That's a
The
horror
ring,
movie.
yeah, I definitely mispronounced it because you gave me whiskey. What do
The
you want from me,
rain.
motherfucker? I don't hit me.
Yeah, I've
I don't
seen that
deserve that. I've
Yeah.
been hurt enough.
I've seen people rise out of the ring.
Right.
I only saw The Ring too.
Oh,
Was the first
that's
one as
okay.
good as the second one?
Only if you watch the
even more
Japanese
better.
version, not
Right,
the
right.
American version.
Oh, I saw the American version with the deer.
I
Oh,
haven't.
yeah,
I haven't
the
seen
second one's
either
not
of
very
the
good.
American versions.
I have. The first one's creepy.
I will. The second Ring is
I haven't.
very bad.
I just like to imagine that the ring is what inspired her to make music.
Yeah.
And this
Or
one,
The
I'm-
Grudge.
A Chinese, like
It's-
a creepy girl came out of a
A
baptismal
television.
font
I think that's what you're saying,
and was
right?
like,
That's not what I'm
7
saying.
days
or
Like
create
the ring
music.
isn't
Yeah.
what inspired me to make music, but I'm just saying that like the
felt like
church
that.
was such a fearful place
Yeah.
for me.
Mm.
And the moment that I realized like vacuums are loud and that scares me, and like I'm gonna sing to be okay with the fact that I'm afraid, like the moment that I started using music as a coping mechanism for fear, for anxiety, for pain, it's the first moment that I realized like I can't give up on this, even if I'm not good enough at this. It's just a matter of like nothing else in the world makes me feel safe and makes me feel okay. So how could I do anything else? Like whether or not I'm good enough, like
It's irrelevant.
this is the only thing that is able to help me with what I'm going through. So I'm not gonna give up on it, no matter
That's the
what I
spirit.
achieve.
Yeah, no matter what you
That's
do with
the-
something, expressing yourself in an artistic way is always going to be a positive thing for yourself. So don't worry about that.
And the only way to succeed is anything is to not give up.
Sure. Yeah.
Precisely. And for me, a vacuum cleaner was the scariest thing in the world. And I was like, it's okay. If you're scared of a vacuum cleaner, just sing and you'll be okay. And that was like the benchmark for my life. I was like, okay, if you're scared, just fucking sing.
There you go.
And
Super good.
that's the only thing that got me through fear, that got me through anxiety, that got me through pain. It was singing. And that's why, regardless of what people perceive my music as, I continue to make it, because why wouldn't I? It's the only thing that's ever changed
For sure.
anything for me.
Mhm.
That's actually related to the question I was going to ask you
Yeah.
guys. What are you most afraid of? It's a big question. Put you on the spot.
Answer that.
Mm,
For Courtney, it's
I don't
vacuum
know.
cleaners.
I feel like there was a time where I would have said death,
Okay.
but I don't. It doesn't really bother me anymore.
Yeah, things have changed.
And there's a song on our record that's, in a way, it's funny because Steve and I perceive it in a bit of a different way. The same song with the same lyrics. It's funny how music and just art in general
Yeah.
is like that, right?
because
Yeah,
we wrote
for
the
sure.
lyrics
And
together.
it's a song we wrote the lyrics together, right? We
Mhm.
both wrote the lyrics to the song and we both perceive it different ways a little bit.
Yeah.
But the song, it's the last song on the record, doesn't seem so bad. To me, is kind of about death not seeming so bad. Like not such a bad option.
And for me, it's about coming to grips with the things that have been troublesome for you lately,
In the
and
past or
yeah,
right lately
and
or at all.
accepting that it's all right and that you
Yeah.
can move forward. It's like a positive.
That's all we
thing.
can do.
So all that to say that death was always an easy answer for me. What do you fear the most? And now that I've really come to terms with death and I'm okay with it, I don't know. I don't even know. Was it
Now
bears?
it's an easy answer to many other
It was-
questions.
And I don't have
Right
an
now
answer.
it is.
I don't
It
actually
is.
have a good answer to this question either.
I would say something more superficial before, but
You would.
I
Obviously.
know.
Because you're a
Um,
piece of shit from what I've
you're a
heard.
piece of So real quick, I'll tell you a story. So
Yeah.
in the past, I had done focus groups to make extra money, and I was in a focus group like 3 years ago where the topic was fear, and we didn't know what the topic was going to be about. And I was in a group of 10 people. We went around, and they were like, write down your 3 biggest fears. And so then they started going in a circle. It was like, what's your biggest fear? What's your biggest fear? What'd you write down? And everybody was going, oh, my husband, my wife dying, my kids, losing it was always something serious like that. And they got to me, it was like, what's your biggest fear? And I was like, I wrote down losing my hair. I was like, I don't want to go bald. But I think as I've grown up, I would,
Gone bald
yeah,
anyway.
I
Clearly.
completely bald now.
Right. It's a blue wig he's going.
Yeah.
Such a shitty wig.
It's a shit how big you can
This
buy
is
it.
the rough
We
Steven
spent
podcast.
so much on this
Yeah.
wig, and look at it.
He
It
was
looks
just
so
like-
bad.
I'm like Elton John over you.
What a piece of
Yeah.
shit.
I'm like Elton John over
I'm
you.
Elton John over you.
And he's also from New York a little
Yeah.
bit. Not really, right?
I don't remember what I was gonna say anymore. It doesn't. What's your answer? I don't fucking care anymore.
I don't know, drowning maybe.
What's your
Yeah.
Drowning's pretty bad.
Mine-
Drowning,
to
drowning
say-
terrifies me a little bit.
My biggest fear is also
like
him
Moonlight
drowning.
Oh,
Drowns.
right, yeah. Moonlight.
Oh,
yeah.
All right, what's your biggest fear?
Cookies.
Orangutans.
I don't have a good answer, which is maybe I should have a better answer if I'm going to ask. the
Especially if you're
question.
gonna ask.
Yeah, that's okay.
I
Certain types
exactly-
of melon.
Yeah.
Cantaloupe.
like cantaloupe.
Cantaloupes are a big fear.
Isolation,
Okay.
and that parts of that connect to death, because I don't know what happens after we die. But the idea of being alone, I guess maybe that stems from that weird DMT trip I had where I felt like what it was like to be the only entity, and he's so fucking lonely that he creates life so he can pretend he's not alone.
That's pretty
I
true.
get that. I mean, loneliness can drive someone crazy.
Yeah. What's your okay, to close us out, what's your fear? Your biggest of the fears?
Oh,
Uh,
you can't ask that because like he told me that question and I even reminded
don't
him
get-
on this episode, but I was like, you know how dangerous that is to,
Okay,
like,
well, I take it
tell
back.
the
I didn't
general
answer.
public like
I didn't
your greatest fear, like it's giving them ammunition
General public,
against
please
you.
do not drown me. That's not cool.
Yeah.
Not
Unless it's in
Cool.
Moonlight.
Yeah,
All right, that's
you
a good
ju-
way
you
to
just
end it,
made
I
that
think.
joke.
Yeah. No, yeah, I think that's Alice. You can catch Moonlight Drowns at July 8th
Yeah.
at
Betty's Bar and Grill.
Betty's with Casual Sex and Shrieking Violet.
Yeah, I'm not here, but
Oh, you're gonna be there? Oh, okay.
I'm
Freaking
gonna
out.
get what the fuck you mean?
Oh, okay.
You're kicked out of the band.
God
fine.
damn.
Did you
All right.
get kicked out
You
of
know,
the band?
Steven's
Kicked
kind of a
us out
piece
of
of
our
shit.
band,
He's
right.
kind of an asshole.
Yeah, Steven with a B, like
I'm picking up what you guys are saying.
Let's get
So-
Jeremy back in the band to replace him.
we don't need more than one at this point.
Do we
We-
need
we
do
wanna make
do
sure-
we need to
hold
talk
on,
about the
I was gonna
origin of
say-
the album name?
We want to make sure
Well, I think
that
we do now.
that part doesn't end up on Jeremy might watch it.
Shut up. We're good. We're good.
Okay, we might need to edit
Our-
out
Wait,
some.
our
no, we're not-
producer
we're
is there
live,
for
we're
work, it's
recording.
fine.
Where,
We're
where,
not
what's,
live. They're gonna.
where does the name of the episode come or album come from?
Originally our band name was gonna be One Last Concession.
After so much but arguing.
We went back and forth, and then we decided to change the name. But it really comprised the whole concept because the record really is kind of a concept overall.
And it really tied everything together.
Yeah, everything's about, as we were talking about, moving on, dealing with things that have been struggles in a certain point in time. So it's One Last Concession. It's like saying I'm moving past this at this point.
There was actually the kind of a little small debate on whether we would name the album The Escape or Escape.
Yeah, we have a song at the very end, Escape, or One Last
It's called
Concession, like-
Escape, and it has the words "One Last Concession" in it. So it was like kind of back and forth a little bit between those two.
I got you.
Do
We-
we name the song Escape and the album One Last Concession?
But
or
we
vice
did it-
versa?
For anybody who listens to the whole record, we did a thing throughout many of the tracks where we use certain words over and over again. It's on purpose. It's not by accident.
It's not because we're bad writers.
Yeah.
Well, it's also because we're bad writers.
But-
So
yes.
now I'm
Okay,
curious, where does
Steven,
Moonlight
you
Drowns come
critical
from?
fuck.
Where?
Tolkien.
Oh,
Moonlight Drowns, yeah. What's the exact quote? is?
Moonlight drowns out all but the brightest of stars.
Yeah.
Mhm.
glad I asked.
And
Lord of the
so
Rings. I have the tree Gondor
Okay.
arm.
He's a
Lord of
big
the
Lord of
Rings.
the Rings fan. I was looking.
Is that why you're
around-
such a piece of shit?
Yes.
It's actually not mutually exclusive, but he is a
Oh.
piece of shit, and he happens to like Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I'm a pretty big Lord of the Rings fan, and
Same.
I've got zero
And
piece of
he's-
shits against him.
Oh, you're definitely.
I was gonna say, no,
Yeah,
you're a piece of
you're
shit.
the biggest.
All right.
Quakers
2,
are the
1,
worst.
6.
Yeah,
A quick. Yeah. A quick.
yeah. Right. Are you like speaking to us in binary?
Yeah.
No, I'm just counting how many times we've been called a piece of shit.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
We'll put a counter up on screen.
Okay.
I've not been
Yeah.
called a piece of shit at all.
You know, you're kind of a piece of
definitely
shit.
a piece of shit.
All right, no, you're
That's not even
definitely
a
a piece of
question.
shit.
No, like
Yeah.
that's not.
That
No,
is
I
a whole
wasn't
band.
saying I'm not a piece
Because
of
we don't need to say it because everybody just knows.
Oh
that.
yeah. You're actually the biggest piece of shit.
shit.
Sorry, I know you need to
Right.
leave.
And on that note, Alice, Moonlight Drowns has a new song, Doubt, coming out 1st of July, along with a video for it.
It's gonna be
Yo.
awesome.
And like I fucking said,
There's so much murder in the video.
There's murder. Hell yeah, that's
It's
what's
a
up.
lot of murder.
A lot of murder, a lot of intrigue.
Moonlight murder is all but the brightest stars.
And then after that, Moonlight Drowns, July 8th.
Full album.
For album
Full
release.
session.
Album
release and
album
album
show.
release show.
Like if you don't make it, you're probably gonna get murdered because they're sociopaths.
Hammer.
Oh, yeah. Shrieking Violet, she's opening the show up.
Oh
awesome.
my
Woot,
god.
woot. Casual sex, that's gonna be fucking dope. Those are good people too.
Everybody loves casual sex.
Who doesn't love casual sex?
And on that note, this court is now adjourned. See you next week,
All right.
Alice.
Bye.